It's me again. It's Robin from Holstein House. Hey, if you have never blanched vegetables, then in a previous video when I talked about blanching them, you may have thought, what in the world is that? So I thought, well, let me do just a quick little video to explain what blanching is and show you how I do it. So what I've got here are some SwissChard leaves, and I've removed them from the stems. They've been washed a couple dozen times because homegrown ones, when you use very little insecticide or anything, sometimes get a little buggy. But so they've been washed, and I've got some kale over there. I got to do that in a minute. But I thought I'd show you this one. So this is just a little strainer, and you'll see why here in a minute. And I filled it with the SwissChard leaves. What we have here is ice water, and what we have here is boiling water. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the SwissChard in the boiling water. I've made a mess. I always do that. Stove's clean. And we're going to let this boil just a couple minutes. So the boiling stops some enzymes. There's some sciencey stuff that goes along with that. There's a little bug I didn't get out. That feed that to the chickens. That contribute to the decay of the food. Now you can do this blanching the food, and different foods have different blanch times, different times you put them in the boiling water. This is a couple of minutes. You do this before you freeze and before you dehydrate. And for dehydration, you're doing it to retain color. And if you've ever just straight dehydrated some vegetables and saw that they look kind of icky, that's probably why. You may have had your dehydrator too high as well, but blanching vegetables helps to retain the color. Now, what we're going to do here in just a minute is we'll take this out. I'll put it back in the strainer and strain it some more. And then we're going to put it in the cold water, and the cold water stops the cooking process that's destroying the enzymes that contribute to the decay, if that makes any sense to you or not. So I do this for leafy greens, spinach, kale, SwissChard. I'm going to do this for some peppers, and I'll pause the video if I can. I'm using a new phone, so and then I'll show you how I do the peppers, which is just exactly the same way, really. So, all right, let's take these out. And you'll see the volume decreases too. It deflates these. They're not as fluffy. Get in there, you. And you lose a little color into the water. But overall, you maintain color after you freeze them. That's why when you go to the store and you get frozen vegetables like spinach, they're really deep green. Of course, they flash freeze too, which helps a lot, but they're blanched. And then if you're home gardening, you also get rid of some of the little creepy crawlies that you might miss when you're cleaning them. Get off there. Why does that not want to get off there? It's determined. There it went, to stay on that. And I'm going to leave them in this little strainer when I put them in this water, because I don't want to dig out the ice cubes with the chard. And you want to stir it around a little bit because you want that cold water, that ice cold water, to reach all the way in the middle. And because you know these have clumped up now. so that it stops the cooking process. And these I'm going to put in the freezer. So I'll have to get my freezer bag out and put these down. Try to get it to spread out a little bit so it drains a little better. Well, that's all there is to blanching. Cooking's not that hard. Basic cooking's not that hard. The problem that we tend to get into is that we want to fancy cook. Well, okay, fine. I'm not a fancy cook. I'm a very basic cook. I can keep my husband fat and sassy without cooking like a French chef. And I keep myself fat and sassy too. But that's all there is. And I'm going to set this over at the sink, and I'm going to pause this because I'll let these drain a little more. And then I'm going to work on the kale, which is just the same thing. I don't have to repeat this because it's the same thing. And then I'll show you when I do the peppers. And again, the peppers are the very same thing. So it'll be boring, but it might be fun. Be back in a little bit.